Hello and welcome once again to another weekly replay with me, Hijak, and today I'm giving you a replay of the FV4005 Tier 10 British tank destroyer. Now, this tank destroyer has been nicknamed the Shit Barn, which is, I guess, fitting because of the big house-sized turret that sits on top of the tank. Now, I'm bringing you a Tier 10 tank again this week. I did the Centurion AX last week, and this week I'm bringing you the FV4005 Tier 10 tank destroyer because currently ongoing with World of Tanks is the Dynasty Wars event, which requires you to play a whole pile of Tier 10 battles in order to progress through Dynasty Wars efficiently. So here we are on the map Erlenberg, and I have played this map quite a few times and don't usually win on it. It's just one of those maps I just have a hard time winning. But in any case, we'll see how this one plays out. And if you read the title of the video already, you might know exactly how it plays out. But if not, stay tuned and we'll see. So let me talk about this tank just a little bit, about its nuances and whether or not I like it and whatnot. It's got the main characteristic that is the best thing for this tank is it has a big gun. The gun shoots very damaging shells, and if you use the special heat rounds, the premium heat rounds for it, you can do monstrous amounts of damage. The trade-off though is, of course, your reload is very long. I think with food and equipment and stuff like that, my reload is over 24 seconds per shell. The shells fly quite a bit slower than normal tanks, and the tank itself, while moving forward at about 30 kilometers per hour on flat terrain, it reverses at about 10. So you can't poke ridges and fall back. You can't do some of these normal tanks strategies that you would be able to do in, say, a heavy tank or a medium tank, whereas you can just stay hidden as best you can. As you can see, I'm aiming in on this IS-7, and I hit the IS-7 for 472 damage. Now, I know I said earlier, big damage. Well, because I'm using, not heat, the Hesh shells. I said heat earlier, I meant Hesh, so it's high explosive squashed head. The way they work is they explode on contact, and that includes debris and trucks and everything else that you find on the battlefield in the game. But if you hit a tank, it'll explode on contact. Now the big damage comes when you penetrate the tank with these Hesh shells. The penetration itself on these shells is 230 millimeters of penetration. So basically any tank on the side of the tank body, definitely the rear, and sometimes the turrets. If you hit them in the front, you're just going to do what basically is a splash damage for about, between 400 and 800 damage. Penetrating shots, you can get up to over 2,000 damage. The highest I've personally done is about 1,900. Another downfall of this tank is the aim time and dispersion of the shells when you're firing. You can see the size of that circle. I'm currently only aimed in about 8 times. But the dispersion, that's the size of that circle when you're aiming in on a tank, is quite large. And as you can see, just by moving the turret a little bit, makes that bloom, or the expansion of the circle, quite large, meaning that I'm going to miss a lot of shots, as you see there when I fired on the EBR 105. So, recapping the good and the bad. The good is it hits hard. The bad is it takes a long time to aim. You can see I'm aiming in on this Badger. Aiming in. I've got a good shot in the front. You can see that the green reticle is green for penetration, but he gives me his side. And I smack him for 821 damage. Sorry, 1,821 damage. Of course, I was spotted, so I have to fall back. But you can see on the side of a heavily armored Tier 10 tank destroyer, I was able to penetrate for over 1,800 damage, taking him down to pretty much a one-shot for anything else left in the game. And that was just one shell. Currently sitting at 2,293 damage. I've only landed 2 shells currently. That's pretty good. Now I spot this Progetto 65 BB over in the left side there, right by the rocks. Now you're going to see I'm going to aim in now that I'm fully reloaded. And I'm just going to wait. These shells, these premium Hesh shells, are very expensive. So every time I pull the trigger, it's costing me about 8,000 to 10,000 credits. I don't know the exact cost at this moment, but I'll have to check that out. And because of that, you want to make sure every shot counts. I'm not going to make money playing tier 10. No one ever does. But every shot needs to count. So there we go. I fired on the front quarter of that Progetto 65, taking him down 807 hit points. He's down to 711. And he was tracked at the same time because Hesh shells also have the ability to track and destroy internal and external modules because of the explosion. They're basically like a high penetration HE shell. So reloaded fully again. I know the Progetto 65 is still over there, so I'm going to aim in at that little gap between the buildings and see if I can catch him again if he decides to peek out once more. Playing this tank can be a lot of fun. Yep, there we go. Take him out. 711 damage. It also can be very frustrating at times because you're really at the mercy to how the enemy team plays. If they're not allowing you, or you're not in a spot where you're going to get decent shots on people, you can end up doing maybe 1 or 2 shots worth of damage, 600-700 damage, and that is all. So other times you can just sit in one spot and everybody will just drive in front of your gun and you'll be able to do tons of damage. It's really just kind of match dependent. What I've learned to do is find a decent spot on every map that you play and just do the best you can. So here's a nice side shot on the IS-7, but he turned the last minute, so it turned out to be like just hitting him in the front quarter, mostly on his track, and only doing 683 damage. Now you see that Jagdpanzer E100 just over there on the other side of this ruined castle. Pay attention to him because we're going to be running into him a little bit later on in the video. Now we can see on the map that we have a lot of guys in the center river area. We've won the 9-0 line. We've got a couple of guys over there. And they've mostly got stuff in the middle or on the by the castle there. So I haven't moved up because, well, that IS-7 that I just shot, he was last spotted in that E3-4 block. And I'm afraid that he's still there and he might shoot me. Now, it's a little concerning because of that fact. This thing does not have a lot of armor. It's big, it's slow, it has a big gun, but it does not have a lot of armor. So I can only take a couple of hits before I die. So the trick is to not get hit, I suppose. Currently sitting at 4,494 damage. So right now it's probably not, it's not my highest match I've ever done, but it's one of the higher ones that I've ever had. Now I'm watching the IS-7 and the Jagdpanzer E100 because I want to know where they are and what's going to happen. Now the team's Jagdpanzer E100 starts moving up from the back line with me, and he's heading towards the castle, so I do notice this. And I decide to... I've got support now. He's there. We've got the FV4005 heavy on the one line. So with the Jagdpanzer E100 moving towards the castle, I figured it's pretty safe to move up and see what we can do for damage. Match isn't quite over yet, but we are winning 9-4, so you never know. Might be a good time to kind of push in. We're 6 up now because it's now 10-4. So the Jagdpanzer E100 has been spotted in the castle. The IS-7 is still invisible. Now I notice right here, the Jagdpanzer E100 had fired. He's got a long reload just like me. I'm already reloaded, so I just need to close this gap as quickly as possible and take a shot. Aim in, aim in, aim in. Again, 796 damage because it just hits him. But now I've got this really slow reversing speed. He's going to catch me out now. And I'm going to take this hit because I have no choice. 5,290 damage so far dealt, but he hits me for 1,148. So that was a big hit in my front because I've got no armor and he has lots of armor. But then he does this weird turn side scraping thing on the wall, leaving me his side exposed. So I'm going to take it, and I set him on fire. I hit him for 600 damage and set him on fire for 152 damage. And the friendly Jagdpanzer 100 takes him out of the match. Now I'm at 6,042 damage. Spot the bat chat, the final guy on the team. I'm not fully loaded yet, so I don't know what I was doing here, but I popped out, and he takes me out with his 4-shot auto order. I don't know what I was doing there, but obviously that was not the smartest thing I could have done. So in the end of it all, I got the high caliber badge, master badge 2nd class, bruiser, and fire for effect. As I said, I've had some good matches and some bad matches in that tank, and this is definitely one of the better ones that I've had. I do hope you've enjoyed this week's video, and if you have, give it a thumbs up for the like down below. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I would like to hear any feedback, leave a comment, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss next week's video. I hope to see you again next week. Take care.